Today is Monday, Labor Day, September 5th, 2022. For me to be a CPT, I would have to be walking on water. And I plan to do that one day. In the meantime, I've discovered that I need to work on a few things. One thing I need to do is recognize I know these are things that are probably impossible for me to achieve at this point. As I start to, I figure I will not be successful within the next 6 months. I'm 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 thinking like that, realistically speaking. The reason why I realistically speak that way is making connection between what the pro day traders say uh, on various YouTube shows and what I do. What I've noticed is that in the past 22 years of 20 some odd years as my career in engineering, I've noticed that the longest term that I had was about 6.5 years of engineering work. And these were fairly easy engineering work at that. And I believed that I was able to survive on a midterm basis for roughly about 2 years out of the generosity of the company that hired me. And therefore, I lack in severe, in many different avenues in my career. What I've noticed is one particular that hits me quite firmly today is that I was viewing a YouTube channel and this pro day trader stated that to me in concrete terms, and she seemed to be incredibly bright, very bright. So first 6 months she lost a lot of money. Second 6 months she started losing a little bit of money, and then the third 6 months she started making money. As a pro day trader, I have to gauge what the market is. I cannot infringe my thoughts, my own thoughts, into the equation because it would taint what the market is telling me. And within that span of conversation that this pro day trader had on one of the YouTube channels is that she is explaining her track record. She's saying that she used to work in a corporate environment and she gave that up and then started to trade. And I can sure, I can confirm without a shred of doubt that she's far smarter than I am. The reason is she said that she decided not to take the experimental route. She decided to take training and she just jumped into that part of it because she had this pre-thought. That single statement overrides, that single statement tells me that she's far smarter. The reason is I've been at this for 22 years. And then I had to experiment and I have to gain experience. I have to live through these things to show me. And then after the market has taught me these things, I was still not able to make those connections between proper training and proper day trading that will elevate me and pass me through to the other side. Because that is what's required in order to move across to the other side. I have to learn these things that all traders know. And what keeps me on the other side of the door, where there is also a famous saying in biblical terms. It's called heaven is opened, the exit door of hell is open from the inside out. So essentially, she was in a momentary basis understood the hellish periods of time that's required in order to become a successful day trader. And the door and the wall thickness of the passage that she took was far shorter, essentially about 12 months. For many, many people who are very stubborn, that wall and that door is very heavy, and it takes years and years and years. Even a uh, ophthalmologist, apparently a medical doctor, Al Brooks, says it took him 10 years to become successful. Okay, so his wall of thickness of ignorance was that you can tell anybody with a medical degree is very smart. So something must have caused him to something must have caused him to some part of the part of that journey must have been very difficult for him. And so to get to the getting to the point is that what I'm going to do is work on these things while I study. I'm studying each and every day to to move towards the direction of becoming a CPT. And one of the things that I see within me that I need to work on is one, um, I need to keep working on detecting, uh, using. There's no sure thing in day trading, in the market, because it moves anyway. Something could come across, something could change and alter the trajectory and the passage of each day-to-day periods of things that could happen, especially on a Saturday and Sunday, and something can happen. A world war could erupt within moments, and that could just, it's like changing the orbit of the moon, and it happens often. It doesn't happen too often in the physical world, but in the world of the Wall Street, things do happen. China could one day just send half the nation into Russia to really just stomp on Ukraine. I mean, that's easy to do for them. When that happens, it creates a tremendous amount of shockwave through the macroeconomic world, which impacts the price of the stocks that will open up Tuesday. So what I plan to do within all these uncertainties is to work on things. And one of the things that I want to work on is I need to work on better preparing myself to see on a higher time frame and equating to the possible trajectory of what the day will unfold into. And that gives me an idea of how I can approach the day, such that let's say yesterday, or the day trading day, the work day, uh, there was a huge red day, which means that most likely, if it's a huge red day, it is possible that the fundamentals have changed, and the direction has changed, and most likely it'll carry over to the next day. If I assume that there will be a reversal on the next day, it's most likely a short period where a profit taking takes place for those individuals who have gone into previous day to short the market. What I need to do is make better improvements so that it would guide me in making better decisions in that intraday trading period. And one of the things that I can use is to add a couple of things, which is to look at the averages, moving averages, and see what is the general trend on a bigger picture. Fundamentally speaking, the FOMC made these statements on last week, and when they made that statement, was it last week or some other a week prior to last week? On a Friday. So when they make that kind of a statement stating that the Fed is going to continue its hawkish statements, it is possible that the filtering of that information to reverberate through the Wall Street will take not just a momentary time, but it'll take even several weeks for the market to adjust to the new environment. And therefore, I have to be aware of those things that will help me and assist me in understanding what the possible and higher likely of things will happen within the next day based on the previous data. And it is a probability speaking, and nothing is concrete because it could reverse the next day. Something could happen that could reverse the next day. However, knowing that generally speaking, stocks move in the direction where it wants to go and where it already has placed its direction, and that's called trend. So I have to look at those things. So I have to look at the higher time frame, looking at the averages, looking at which direction on a daily time frame to see, generally speaking, how will the stocks behave until I see a better picture, looking at the candlesticks to determine whether there is a signature that states that it is moving in a different direction, a reversal signal that I can take appropriate actions to adjust my mind. So and the second part is that will help me. And then the second part is adjusting my. I have to after so when I make the trade, I need to make sure that I practice the rules that I've set for myself. And one of the things that I've noticed that I'm having issues is adding to a loser. That's one of them. The second part is there's three rules that I keep breaking when that happens, and it happens most often on red days. Green days is not noticeable at all because all these mistakes that I do, it's just additive. It's helpful. If it's a green day, I can get in any time, and it just helps. And if I keep adding, it's a good thing too. And uh, and because there's no loss, I don't cut out. I don't sell my losers fast. So all these three rules are additive. It helps on a green day, but especially on a red day, I have to have this mindset. I have to say to myself, "Oh, it's a red day. Oh, look, the futures are red. Oh, the stock is red." So I need to have that in mind so that I have this mindset to automatically switch into this period where the way that I trade is a single contract is sufficient to satisfy the daily profit goals that I have. And therefore, I don't need to put everything in there. And everything in there on a red day is a recipe. It is a it is a true recipe. I keep telling my dishwasher job at the fast food restaurant that I work at is that one I made croutons that day as a prep cook too. And he says, for some reason, he looked at me and says, for some reason, these croutons are just terrific. And I told him back, and I told him, yeah, it's amazing what happens when you follow the recipe. So the recipe is a training program, the fine training programs that S&P Capital has, the fine training programs that UK Spreadbetting has, the fine programs that I'm sure of it, like Bulls of Wall Street, I'm sure these, I mean, so it is really essentially following the recipe the way that it was originally formulated. And these rules are logic based, proven through time, and discussed by pro day traders who concur on those fundamental rules that I have. And the reason why I am unable to follow those rules is because I have not been acclimated to the environment of day trading so that I can keep myself detached from the subconscious world. And hopefully, starting on tomorrow, I'll make these subtle adjustments. And I know that it's not going to happen overnight. A very smart lady, a pro day trader who changed her career and was smart enough to just day one go into paying a mentor to teach her how to trade is far smarter, and she took 12 months to become acclimated to the environment of day trading, and then the next 6 months to make money on that. And therefore, what I have done so far is just playing in the mud, grabbing one thing, grabbing another thing, grabbing this, and not really having a fundamental, solid, bulletproof method of recommended by a institution, a firm, just like S&P Capital, that says this is the winning formula, this is the winning recipe. This is the winning recipe. And I've reviewed their videos for quite a while, and I essentially you would have to be a mule to literally the mule. You know the ones with four legs. You would have to be a mule in order to not be profitable after going through their program. So essentially, those are things that I work on. Um, this is work on number two. That's this is I'm recapping the progress that I've made. I'm looking at so the whole point is for me to scale the Everest of Wall Street, and I'm looking. I've I can tell that I've climbed a certain amount. I climbed a bit. I know where I am, even though I've fallen down over and over and over, but it's not the same place. It's not the rock bottom. The money, in terms of keeping track of using money to keep track of my progress in day trading, is really not reflective of the experiences that I've gained in being a day trader, and therefore climbing and scaling the Mount Everest of Wall Street is essentially acquiring the skills, because once I acquire the skills and then have been programmed into my muscle memory, then I am able to switch it off, switch it on, switch on. Yeah, let's call it switch on. Switch on.